Hey guys, so today I have a semi-new-ish idea video for you, and that is that I'm going to review all of the January arcs that I read in particular. Like, I will go through each of them, what I liked, what I didn't, and what I gave them as a rating. I would like to do this with the February ones as well, but I'm not finished with those yet. So hopefully as soon as I get those done, I can review those for you all as well. In January, I read 4 arcs. I read She Lies in Wait by Gaitha Lodge, The Liar's Room by Simon Lilik, The Suspect by Fiona Barton, and The Au Pair by Emma Rowe. I will be going through them in the order in which I read them, which is not the order that I just said them in. But without further ado, let's get into them. So the first one that I read was The Au Pair by Emma Rowe, and I absolutely loved this book. I ended up giving it a 4-star. I couldn't justify a full 5, but I'll get into that in just a second. The Au Pair is about a girl that she is going through her father's things after he tragically dies in an accident, and she stumbles upon a family photo of her family, except for one of the twins is missing. It's either her or her brother, and she doesn't know which one is missing in the picture. So it's kind of her getting back with the au pair who was with them the summer that they were born and trying to figure out like which twin is missing, what's going on, and a lot of shady things get brought up. And the au pair is just vehemently against talking to them and is trying to hide from them. But the truth comes out whether anybody is ready for it or not. This is a mystery thriller. It's kind of psychological, just a hair, just a touch. But it is mostly domestic, and I really enjoyed it. All of the characters were fantastic. The main character was she was a little bit easier to understand because she had lost her mom to suicide. She had lost her dad to an accident. The only family she had doesn't really look like her, and she really wants answers. And it's just, I don't know. It was easy to see myself kind of slipping into that psychosis that she gets into of being like, I have to know what on earth is happening. I really enjoyed this book. The characters were the biggest part of what I loved, and the only few things that I disliked were the pacing was a little choppy. It would go really, really fast and then just like sludge, and then really, really fast and then sludge again. But I don't know, it kind of read like a slow burn, but there was a lot of like bam, 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 bam stuff going on too. So I was definitely interested 99.9% of the time while reading it. The only thing that I disliked was the pacing. That was the only reason I really couldn't give it a 5-star, just because the pacing was a little awkward. But other than that, it was an absolutely fantastic book. The second one that I read was The Liar's Room by Simon Lilik. I think I ended up giving this a 2-star. I did not finish reading it. It was just not my thing. It's about this psychiatrist that her and her daughter are trying to create a better life for themselves, but the psychiatrist is a little bit, she isolates herself and her daughter, and it's because there was this tragedy that happened around her family years ago where her son kind of fell in with the wrong crowd at school and started doing bad things, and it's kind of her journey as to like process it through another outlet, and that is a patient that comes in to talk to her who is not who he says he is. So it's all very twisty turny, very psychological, very, very psychological, and you get multiple viewpoints from multiple different times, and I just did not like it. The way I'm describing it sounds like, oh my gosh, it's fantastic. But the things I did like the patient. I don't remember his name, but oh my gosh, his character was just psychotic enough that I was like, you're really intense and I really like you. And there were just things about his character that just really intrigued me a lot. And the psychiatrist's son, Jake, I think, he was also a very interesting character for me, because I could totally see a young, impressionable boy getting into the things that he got into, especially in a high school setting. So that kind of intrigued me more because it was just so realistic. But the things I didn't like, again, pacing was so all over the place. I did not like it. The main character I could not stand. She just, I don't know, just the way she read, like really, like I just had to grit my teeth the whole time, and she was boring and I didn't care, and I just wanted her to like keep telling the story or let Jake tell the story through his perspective and stop these weird little like inter pauses, I guess. And all the other characters from the present time, I just did not care about. They were all ones that I was like, whatever, like you'll probably be important later, but I just don't care about you right now. And it really made it hard when they were fixated on those characters a lot. It would be a fantastic book for someone who is looking for a heavy psychological thriller and for a slow burn, because I feel like this could be a good slow burn book, just not for me. I'm very, very picky when it comes to slow burns. They have to start the right way and then kind of ease themselves into a slower pattern. And this one did not at all. I was very fed up with it about halfway through. So I ended up giving that one 2 stars. It just wasn't for me. The third book that I read, or the third arc that I read, was She Lies in Wait by Gaitha Lodge. And I gave this one a 4-star as well. I really enjoyed it. This one is about a girl, Aurora, that goes camping with her sister and a couple of her sister's friends. And there's drinking, there's drugs, there's all the stereotypical things that teenagers shouldn't have, but for some reason they have in excess. Then something happens and Aurora goes missing. Well, I believe it's set like 25 or 30 years later, and Aurora's body is found. And it kind of digs up this whole investigation all over again. They have to go find all the friends and see like what really happened. Has their story changed? What are they not telling us? What are they keeping from within themselves? And who did it? And this is very much a like crime detective novel, not so much a like suspense thriller-ish novel. This is very like procedural crime detective novel. I really enjoyed it. Things that I loved were all of the characters. The characters were fantastic. I didn't like the detective at first, but he really warmed on me the further and further we got into the story. And then the stuff that I really disliked was the random side notes that some of these characters had. Just like little side stories that really didn't make sense and didn't tie into everything neatly the way I wanted them to. I don't know, there were just a lot of unnecessary little like red herrings everywhere, but they did not detract enough from the story for me to be like, no, this wasn't really a book for me. I still really enjoyed it. It kind of reminded me of a condensed version of Tana French's Into the Woods. In the Woods or Into the Woods, I don't remember. But it kind of reminded me of a faster paced version of that book. So if you like that book, you'll definitely like She Lies in Wait. But yeah, this was a fantastic read and I read it super fast. So yeah, definitely give it a read. And then the last arc that I got was The Suspect by Fiona Barton, and that is the 3rd book in the Kate Waters series. I don't think you'd technically have to read them in order because like I have the first 2. I have The Widow and the Child, and I've read The Widow, did not like it that much. I haven't read The Child yet, hoping to now that I have read The Suspect, because I gave The Suspect a 4 stars as well. This was actually a really good month for arcs whenever I finally dug my heels in and actually read them. But The Suspect is about Kate Waters. She's a journalist, as I'm sure some of you know because you've read the first 2. And this time she goes on a story about 2 girls that go missing in Thailand, and they're on like a gap year kind of thing, I think, when they're supposed to call back to their families to see like, oh, well, what did I get on my tests? Am I going to get accepted into university? Whatever, their families don't hear from them. And the hostel that they're supposed to be staying in, there is a fire, and Kate Waters has to go investigate what's happening and why this fire started and who was there. But Kate Waters kind of has a little personal baggage because Thailand was where her son went to take his gap year, and they have not really heard from him since. So she kind of has a little bit of personal baggage when it comes to this story, and it does affect the way she reports and the way she feels about the whole scenario. This book, the things that I really loved, I really actually liked Kate Waters in this one. When I read The Widow, Kate Waters was one of the characters that actually really made it really hard to like that book. But I do think that now that she is paired with some more dynamic characters, it made her a lot easier to like and a lot easier to understand. And it does help that I am now a mom as well. So that was a whole different dynamic that I don't think I had the first time when I read The Widow. But the things that I did not like, I really didn't have anything that I didn't like, at least not that I can think of. I guess I could say that there were one or two characters that I felt were unnecessary. And other than that, I don't know. I do think this is a fantastic book. I just couldn't quite give it that 5 stars. But no, this is a fantastic book. I recommend it. Definitely at least read one of The Widow or The Child because they do get referenced often. And I do feel like I spoiled myself a tiny bit for something that happens in The Child, but I do think it's a minor spoiler. I don't think it's going to end up spoiling the entire book for me. But just go into it knowing that there are references, and if you have not read either of them, you're not going to understand at all. What I would do personally is I would go ahead and read The Widow and The Child, but I mean, what I did was I read The Widow, I haven't read The Child, and I read The Suspect, and I did just fine. So really, whatever your personal preference is, that is totally fine. Do whatever books excite you the most first, or just do whatever order you want because it's your reading experience, not anybody else's. So yeah, those are the arcs that I read in January. 3 4 stars and 1 2 star. I'm gonna say that that's not that bad. Maybe in February I'll have a 5 star. Maybe. There's only 1 arc left, so no pressure. But yeah, if you all read any arcs or read anything that you think that I would like, and you read that in January, please tell me down in the comments below. I would love to talk to you all about books because, I mean, this channel is kind of based around books, so I kind of like talking about them. But anyway, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter to see more up-to-date things on what I'm currently reading and what I think about them. And please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye!